The blast from the charges echoed like thunder in the underground depths, shaking the walls and throwing clouds of dust into the air. The vault door groaned under the force before crumpling inward with a deafening metallic roar. The SEALs surged forward, weapons raised, their boots striking hard against the steel flooring as they entered the heart of the cartel fortress. For weeks they had prepared for this moment, expecting to find pallets of narcotics, crates of cash, and perhaps files that would expose the cartel's networks. What they discovered instead chilled the air with a different kind of weight. Rows of crates stretched across the massive chamber, stacked to the ceiling and marked with foreign insignias. Stenciled words in languages far from the Americas caught the soldiers' eyes, symbols that suggested global connections more dangerous than any drug empire. When the SEALs cracked open the first crate, their flashlights revealed not bundles of cocaine or heroin, but weapons. Advanced shoulder-fired missiles, experimental explosives packed in neat rows, and high-grade assault rifles with serial numbers scraped off. These were not cartel weapons. They were military-grade, and some appeared to be the kind still in testing by foreign powers. The implications hit them instantly. The fortress wasn't just a hub for narcotics and money laundering, it was a storage site for international arms trafficking. Someone, somewhere, was feeding the cartel weapons capable of challenging nations, not just rival gangs. And now, those weapons were in American territory, hidden under the desert floor. The mission had just transformed from a raid into a discovery with global consequences. As the SEALs worked quickly to document what they found, a sudden metallic groan rippled through the walls. Hidden panels slid open, and automated defenses whirred to life. From the corners of the vault, turrets unfolded, their barrels snapping toward the intruders. Red beams scanned the chamber as the system locked onto the SEALs. A heartbeat later, the underground echoed with the rattling roar of gunfire. Bullets tore through the air, sparks flying as they ricocheted off the vault's steel walls. The SEALs dove for cover, returning precise bursts of fire. Grenades were tossed, their explosions rocking the chamber as turrets shattered in bursts of flame and twisted metal. Smoke thickened the air, and the vault became a cage of fire and chaos. For every automated gun destroyed, another seemed to emerge from the walls, triggered by the fortress's defense system. The cartel had prepared for intruders with technology far beyond what anyone expected. Then came the reinforcements. Through a concealed passage at the far end of the vault, cartel fighters poured in, their rifles blazing, their shouts echoing through the chamber. They moved with desperation, knowing what was at stake if the SEALs escaped with evidence of the arsenal. The firefight grew even more intense, bullets shredding the air, grenades rattling the ground, smoke burning the eyes. The SEALs fought back with cold precision, moving in small coordinated teams, clearing enemies with controlled fire and pushing them back step by step. But the cartel numbers were relentless, and for the first time, the SEALs felt the weight of being outnumbered inside a fortress designed as a death trap. Radios crackled as commanders tried to call for extraction, but static filled the air. Jammers had been activated. The cartel wasn't just fighting, they were trying to trap the SEALs underground. For the team, there was only one choice: fight through the maze of tunnels and find a way out before they were overrun. The SEALs began moving in formation, blasting through sealed doors and collapsing tunnels behind them to slow their pursuers. The fortress, now fully awakened, groaned like a beast under attack. Red alarms pulsed along the corridors. Automated systems screamed warnings in multiple languages, and the air was filled with the clash of gunfire and the roar of detonations. Every corner was a fight, every hallway a gauntlet. Yet the SEALs pushed forward with unyielding focus. They breached one chamber after another, sometimes finding empty storage, other times discovering more crates of weapons. Each discovery painted the same picture. The cartel was no longer just a drug empire. It was an international weapons hub, armed and supported by forces beyond America's borders. The truth was terrifying, and Washington would demand answers. But for now, survival mattered more than intelligence. After what felt like hours of fighting through fire and smoke, one of the SEAL teams discovered a hidden stairwell leading upward. The air was fresher, cooler, carrying the faint scent of the desert night. Hope surged through the team as they realized this could be a way out. They advanced carefully, clearing the stairwell with precision. At the top, they emerged into a concealed exit, disguised as a rock formation on the edge of the canyon. Relief lasted only a moment. Behind them, deep within the fortress, a massive tremor shook the ground. The cartel, realizing the fortress was compromised, had triggered a self-destruct sequence. Explosives hidden within the infrastructure detonated one after another, sending shockwaves through the earth. The ground heaved, cracks splitting through the rock as the fortress collapsed upon itself. The $5 billion empire that had taken years to build was reduced in seconds to fire, rubble, and smoke. The SEALs sprinted through the desert night, the collapsing fortress thundering behind them like an earthquake. Flames shot upward as fuel depots ignited, illuminating the sky with an apocalyptic glow. The entire canyon seemed to burn as steel and concrete gave way to dust. By the time helicopters swooped in to extract them, the fortress was nothing more than a crater, its secrets buried under tons of rubble. Yet the SEALs had managed to escape with fragments of intelligence photos, of weapons, samples of documents, and encrypted drives hastily secured during the chaos. It wasn't everything, but it was enough to confirm suspicions. The cartel was not acting alone. There were foreign suppliers, international players feeding chaos into the borderlands, and their reach was far greater than anyone in Washington had believed. As the SEALs lifted into the night sky, exhaustion etched into their faces, they knew the mission had changed the game. The fortress was gone. The cartel had suffered a devastating blow, but the truth they uncovered was bigger than any single operation. There were more fortresses, more caches, more networks waiting to be exposed, and somewhere out there, the shadowy hands supplying these weapons were still at work. The fight was far from over. The desert stretched endlessly under a cloak of silence, its barren expanse broken only by jagged rocks and the shadows of rugged canyons. On the surface, it seemed lifeless, a wasteland forgotten by time. Yet beneath the ground lay something few in the world could imagine, a sprawling cartel fortress worth an estimated $5 billion, carved into the desert like a hidden kingdom. To the cartel, it was more than a base of operations. It was their crown jewel, a monument to their power and a defiance against anyone daring enough to challenge them. Built over years with blood money, corruption, and international connections, it was designed to withstand sieges, raids, and even military assaults. Hidden blast doors, guarded entrances, disguised as cliffs, and beneath layers of reinforced concrete stretched a labyrinth of tunnels, vaults, and bunkers that rivaled military installations. It was here that the cartel's leadership had stored their wealth, their weapons, and the narcotics that fueled their empire. They believed it was untouchable. But on this night, America's most elite warriors were already approaching. The operation had been months in the making, whispered in the halls of intelligence agencies, and planned with the precision of a scalpel. Only a handful of people in Washington even knew it was happening. As the moon rose high, Navy SEALs moved silently through the desert, their figures blending with the darkness, their weapons steady, their breathing controlled. Helicopters circled at high altitude, invisible to the naked eye, while drones fed live surveillance to command centers miles away. Every movement was calculated, every step rehearsed. For the SEALs, this was more than just another mission. It was a strike against an enemy that had pushed too far, building not just a drug empire, but a fortress capable of threatening U.S. soil. The cartel had outfitted its mercenaries with heavy weapons, surveillance tech, armored vehicles, and even anti-aircraft capabilities bought through shadowy deals on the black market. Intelligence had warned, this would not be like storming a drug house in the city. This would be war. As the SEALs neared the perimeter, silence reigned, except for the faint crunch of boots on sand. They moved in teams, their night vision goggles glowing with faint green light, each man trusting the other with his life. They cut through the outer defenses like shadows, disabling cameras, hacking motion sensors, and breaching the first barriers with controlled charges. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the fortress might fall quietly. But then, deep within the compound, an automated system picked up the faint tremor of motion. The silence shattered. Sirens screamed across the desert, red floodlights flickered on, and the once dead fortress roared to life like a beast awakened. From hidden bunkers and guard towers, cartel mercenaries spilled out, their rifles blazing into the night. Armored trucks roared into position, engines growling as mounted heavy machine guns opened fire, sending sparks and dirt flying into the air. The SEALs had lost the element of surprise, but they did not falter. Why?